وَجَاهَدُوا بِأَمْوَالِهِمْ وَأَنفُسِهِمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And now I am offered a wonderful opportunity to say a few words about fi sabilillah today, which for many Muslims means free of charge. Nothing is free. There's always someone paying, probably for someone else, for oneself or for someone else. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man ittaba'a hudah. What about the translation of Iman? For many, al-mu'minun means the believers. Al-mu'minun, al-mu'mina would mean the believers. What does the Quran say about it? And what does the Arabic language tell us about this principle of al-Iman? This word comes from an etymology which contrasts with another one, which is al-khawf. Al-khawf wal-Iman. الذي أطعمه من جوع وآمنه من خوف. In Surah Quraysh, آمنهم من خوف. And throughout the Quran, these two principles, al-Iman and al-Khawf, are indeed opposed. So if we want to understand what al-Iman is, we need to understand al-Khawf, which refers to the concept of fears, which refers itself more deeply to the notion of need. Indeed, when our needs are not met, when we can't visualize or project ourselves satisfying our needs in the near future, well, it scares us because we become aware of a given danger. The danger that if we do not meet our needs now or very soon, we may get in a process that will lead us very gradually towards a form of extinction that will destroy us and cause self-alterations. So al-khawf, fear, can cause a number of consequences. But fear can also be understood as concern, and in reality al-Iman does not refer to the concept of security that would be opposed to fear, which belongs to the emotional plane. Al-Iman belongs to the spiritual level. And so al-Iman, as opposed to al-Khawf, it is through al-Iman that satisfactory and contenting answers are provided, fulfilling what might be called existential concerns, existential fears or existential concerns. In other words, every little questions we ask ourselves and which contribute to the very question of the existential meaning of our existence. Among the existential concerns is the fear of finitude. Being concerned about the fact that my being, my body will come to an end. Coming along with all these questions, what happens after? What happens after my body has come to an end? That's the matter of finitude. The concern about what can be called deadly isolation. Loneliness and deadly isolation, being alone. Loneliness and deadly isolation, being alone. Humans are beings that essentially create alliances to build societies, to form united fronts, to live among others of the same species. He is afraid of loneliness and isolation. So, the issue of isolation is another one of the existential concerns. And I would say that this is one of the greatest existential concerns that humans can experience, the fact that their life does not make sense. So the question of meaning, the question of the purpose or the spiritual question, ultimately, it's a question that concerns all human beings, probably at different times in their lives. Probably depending on various circumstances. Indeed, some events can be so confrontational that we can no longer avoid them. We can no longer implement what I call avoidance strategies. Regarding these existential questions, these existential concerns that absolutely need to be answered. Because human beings are needy creatures. They have physical needs, physiological needs, emotional needs, which correspond to the state of the soul. And they have existential needs. Human beings are designed, created, and predisposed to answer this existential question of their origins. Where do I come from? And where am I going? Where do I come from? And what is the very profound meaning of my existence and my presence on earth? And what is the very profound meaning of my existence and my presence on earth? Al-Iman, from a Quranic perspective, includes all the elements that will enable us to provide satisfactory, fulfilling answers, satisfying every existential concerns human being can experience, can feel in his innermost self. Among, I would say, these existential questions or concerns, there is the fear of being incomplete. That is the fear of not being complete, of not being perfect, not being achieved. Similarly, al-Iman, from a Quranic and Islamic perspective, will enable us to provide answers to these questions. In a verse in which Allah defines al-Mu'minun. إنما المؤمنون الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله ثم لم يرتابوا وجاهدوا بأموالهم وأنفسهم في سبيل الله أولئك هم الصادقون. Indeed, al-mu'minun, which I could ultimately translate as those who act with al-iman. Those who act with al-iman. Al-mu'minun could also be transliterated. Al-mu'minun could also be transliterated as they say Muslims, as a transliteration of Muslim. One could very well consider, rather than translating al-mu'minuna with an extendable sentence, as those who give satisfactory and comforting answers and fulfilling to their existential concerns. We could simply say, al-mu'minuna, those who have fulfilled their being with the divine through Rasulillah, through the incarnate message that may embody the prophets and the Prophet of Allah. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, thumma lam yartabu. And they do not align this divine and prophetic contentment. This divine and prophetic contentment with a doubt that causes discomfort, a disturbing doubt, a doubt that could probably shake a number of beliefs leading to instability. So a destabilizing doubt, and that's what a raib really is. A raib, from a Quranic and etymological perspective, means the destabilizing doubt. And al-iman actually opposes the lack of stability. Al-iman can possibly mean stability precisely. Moreover, the Arabs of the Quranic era used this root to open the word al-iman, for example, to talk about the camel that is steady on all its four legs. And the notion of stability, we will find it again at the end of the verse, in a specific word that is usually translated as truthful. Ulaika humus sadiqun. These are the truthful ones. These are the solid ones. Steady people, those who lead a very stable life. This contrasts with a highly unstable life, which is caused by the fact that someone's strongest and deepest beliefs regarding the meaning and existential concerns of his own life make him unstable from within. Doubts that one may entertain regarding Allah. Doubts that one may hold regarding the mystery of what is greater than ourselves, or regarding mystery of what is greater than ourselves, or regarding the prophets, especially the prophetic figure embodied by Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Embodied by Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. All these doubts may create inner instability. These doubts are those that can shake us up and make us experiment. These doubts are those that can shake us up and make us experiment a life marked by anxiety, in a state of constant fear, embarrassment and discomfort. Then in fact, al-mu'minun are those who act with al-iman towards Allah and His Messenger, His Prophet, who are on assignment. Next, I would say that they persist and they continue to hold these deep beliefs. That is, they feed their own reflections on their existential concerns. So that their doubts don't make them unsteady, uncomfortable or embarrassed. وَجَاهَدُوا بِأَمْوَالِهِمْ وَأَنفُسِهِمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And this offers me a wonderful opportunity to say a few words about fi sabilillah today, which in the minds of many Muslims means free, no charge. Free stuff doesn't exist. There's always someone paying for someone else, for oneself or for someone else. There's always someone paying for someone else, for oneself or for someone else. Fi sabilillah, as mentioned in the verse, جَاهَدُوا بِأَمْوَالِهِمْ وَأَنفُسِهِمْ. Al-mu'minun are those who are capable of self-sacrifice, to dedicate their soul, their entire being, their belongings, to a cause that is greater than themselves. And what is this cause that is greater than us? It's to follow the divine path which corresponds to our path on earth. That is fi sabilillah. The Quran tells us that fi sabilillah is extremely expensive. Either it costs us all of our assets, a large part of them, or it costs us our entire being. It means being able to sacrifice everything possible for a cause greater than ourselves, for a cause that is higher than ourselves. And I would like to point out that this is still something that is viewed positively by people. Being able to dedicate one's life, to sacrifice one's possessions, their energy, or to give up their time. In short, sacrificing what is most precious to us for a cause that worth it. For a noble cause, it's still something that is considered something good, honorable, something admirable in human beings. So Allah tells us that al-mu'minun are those who have this capacity indeed to make an effort. Al-mu'minun are those who have this capacity indeed to make an effort to sacrifice a part of them, a part of their belongings for a cause that transcends them. And Allah ends the verse with أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الصَّادِقُونَ. These are the ones who remain steadfast through adversities they may encounter along the way, through hardships, through adversities they may encounter along the way, through hardships and when facing obstacles, limitations and when facing obstacles, limitations which litter everyone's path. Indeed, along this path we will face a number of trials, difficulties, obstacles, limitations, different degrees of difficulty, more or less violent, intense, more or less unsettling, disturbing, destabilizing, but they are al-mu'minun. These who are strong enough to remain stable, facing all these situations that could destabilize anyone who is not filled with this divine reality. Anyone who is not filled with this divine reality, anyone who is not filled with this divine reality with a strong enough meaning that is satisfying enough, a meaning that is fulfilling enough to remain steady, stable, and firmly grounded. In order to accomplish the mission which is theirs, that is to say, accomplish the mission which is theirs, that is to say, for every human to fulfill their purpose, which is ultimately to manifest the all radiant of love